Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 336. We're missing just about everyone at this point, but I actually won't be around this weekend because we're doing some family stuff. The mother-in-law's having a birthday, so taking her out to a nice place and all of this and have some fun. When the grandkids get involved, you gotta make the trip and do all that, but it should be fun. However, I still wanted to bring some kind of podcast that we can premiere, and Sean was around.
I woke up for this. I was taking a lovely nap. It's a nice, crisp spring fall day. My brain isn't working right now. And yeah, I set an alarm for 3:50 so I could be here.
I'm honored. Hey, Sean's here after his nap. He put in the effort. So good to see him here. It's easier when we all know, like, typically each week what the time slot is, so it's easier to divvy up everything going on and figure it out. Whereas in this case, we're kind of thrown off kilter a bit, but I still wanted to have something, and especially because we had a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play same week. So we'll be going through all those. Yeah, right. Same day. Going through those line by line. Also had the situation with Unity take place, and Sean and I, which it's actually good you're here, Mortal Kombat 1 came out. So I played kind of. Yeah. I played it. Sean played it. I figured we'd give some of our very, very early impressions on it because I've mostly just been doing the story. But I think that'll be a lot of fun to go through that one. Let's start though. I do want to point people to the Spawncast Patreon, spawncastnetwork.com, and I definitely want to call out some of our executive members here who have
calling them out, putting them on the hot seat.
let me pull that up real quick because I know John O has been big time supporter, around for a long time, so I definitely want to give him a shout out here, as well as, if this would load, because we have some new supporters here at that executive tier level. Executive producer, John O, Joshua Butts, and William Hogue. So a big shout out to them. You guys can check out the spawncastnetwork.com, where we have all kinds of stuff we've been posting up. We played Warzone. We dedicated a Warzone match to the network, to the Patreon, and you'll have to go there and see if we won or not. But it is up, and it was a lot of fun to do that. So let me go over here, Sean. Why don't we start with the Direct itself? Because there was quite a bit there in terms of titles. Like, there's like 25 to 30 games that were at least, we'll say, showcased. Not as many that were necessarily big time announcements. I think that's what was really getting to people, is we didn't have that Metroid Prime 4 to set off everything's saved necessarily. There was one at the end, but how was your initial feeling of the Direct before we go through it, and then we'll double back and really give our thoughts on it?
It was, it's signaling, hey, we're wrapping things up on this system you got right here. Thank you for your support. It was a lot of fan service games. Nothing that's gonna, reinvent the wheel. Nothing that's a huge production in terms of development cost. I think Metroid Prime 4 not being there, at this point, you got to imagine it's not coming to this system. Like, I don't see it happening.
Interesting.
2017, John, it'll be 7 years next year, and we still haven't seen a screenshot.
Isn't that crazy?
Seen a trailer. Yeah, and I mean, people equate it to Zelda, but Zelda's a different beast. Nintendo announces Zeldas, and then they drip feed you stuff. There's been no drip feed with this. The teat is dry, so... Yeah, it was, A to F scale. It was a C show. They showed you some games, some cool stuff, a couple interesting third-party games, but, it was very safe. It was a very safe thing, and, it is what it is.
I think it's going to be a very forgettable Direct in the grand scheme of things. Like, there was a Direct a month before the Switch was officially revealed, and I don't think anyone really remembers what was there. It was like a 3DS Direct mostly.
Right.
I don't think anyone could tell you any of the games that were there off the top of their head or anything, and that's kind of where we fall with this one, I feel like. But we can go line by line. Let's see, starting with Splatoon 3, side order DLC.
Didn't they start out with the Xenoblade Chronicles DLC on one recently too? I don't start out with DLC. I don't like that. Like,
okay,
DLC is slotted for the middle. Like, you start out on a high, then you go down a little bit, and then it's like a roller coaster. Don't start out on the low point.
You want them to take a swing right away.
Yeah, make me excited. And that trailer was just weird. It was like, you're in this colorless world. Like, what is this? Very sterile.
Well, that's spring 2024. Mario versus Donkey Kong, February 16th. This one, I'm sure you guys will have some stuff to say on this with Game and Talk, because I saw Josie's reaction. And I feel like a lot of people wanted that Donkey Kong game, the Tropical Freeze follow-up, essentially, or them taking it to the next level with like a Kirby Forgotten Land style, where it's like, okay, this is the aha moment again for DK. A GBA remake, though,
using the same graphics from Wonder, like
yeah. It's that's not necessarily gonna say it's like a bad game or anything, but I feel like people were hoping for something a bit more out of DK.
It's low risk, high reward. It's Mario, and hopefully you like Mario, because this was the most Mario-ist direct I think I've ever seen.
I want to say
there was more Mario on this than there was for their 35th anniversary celebration.
Oh man, I want to say I do think there's still that possibility for a big DK game, maybe for their next system, and that could be like a first year thing. I will say that. I don't think, for the people out there who are like, oh, this is our Donkey Kong game, I still think it's possible that we see that Kirby Forgotten Land style of DK, where it's like, okay, they're going to the next level with it. So keep that in mind. Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. We've gone back and forth on this one already. They just showed it again. I still think it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, it looks fucking great.
Day one, I'm there. Horizon Chase 2.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Was that announced?
I don't know. If it was, I missed it, but it's already out. Like, they just shadow dropped it.
Yeah.
So, Super Crazy Rhythm Castle. It's November
Konami's
14th.
back, boys. Konami's back.
Hey. Spy Anya Operation Memories.
Oh my god.
Super Mario RPG. All right, there we go. Nice bright spot here. You're going to experience greatness for the first time here, Sean.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, that was probably one of the most visually appealing games of this whole showcase. I'm definitely excited for it. I like what they're showing from it. I don't know. I mean, Nintendo fans, they don't mind repurchasing things, and that's a very iconic game that never really was on. Was it on the SNES Classic?
It was. Yep.
Okay. So, besides that, well, on the Virtual Console, remember the Virtual Console kiddies? It's been a while since a lot of people have played it, and then there's people like me who have never played it. So
I rented that game, I think, 3 times when I was younger to beat it, and I had to try to get the same cartridge and hope that my save file was still there. There was when I first played it, I was obviously a lot younger. There was a cake that I could not beat. It's one of the bosses, and I assume you're going to see it here. Just remember that when you see the cake, like the really young me was yelling at their TV like probably a Saturday night, because I had to go back Sunday afternoon when we were going to the grocery store. So there you go. Another Code Recollection, January 19th. I did not play. Well, one of them came here. The other one didn't come here. The one was on the DS. You played it. I have not played this.
I did. Yeah, I think I'll pick this up.
Okay.
It's not really my usual style of game, but I think I'll pick this up because I did enjoy the first game. I can't remember a damn thing about it, so I'll still be somewhat surprised with the story. But yeah, I think I'll pick this up. And then the Wii game that was never localized is now localized on it. So, and they've done a bunch of stuff to the visuals. It looks completely different than it did on the DS.
Princess Peach Showtime. Transform into different forms for her. They have like a sword fighter Peach, detective Peach, Kung Fu Peach. March 22nd.
Creative. Very creative. This is one of the most creative things they've done with a more mainline character that they have. So Super Princess Peach. Like I thought that game looked absolutely phenomenal, and I was happy that it wasn't just a 2D platformer, because I definitely thought that's what it was going to be.
I kind
It
of
was
thought
just,
so too. Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, that's what the Princess Peach game on the DS was, and 2D platformers are fine, but I didn't expect this, and what we got was pretty cool.
What's interesting is it looks like the gameplay itself changes completely depending on the forms. So it's almost like there's just multiple games just kind of put together for this. So I'm curious about some of the forms beyond the ones they showed and how there's different gameplay elements to it. I didn't really get into Princess Peach when it was on the DS.
I mean, I played it, but I wasn't like Super Princess Peach.
This at least looks interesting, and I think it's good to get some focus on some of these characters to have their own game that aren't necessarily like, okay, here's another Mario game, here's another, we'll say Donkey Kong or whatever, but like having a Peach game, that's not very common. So interesting.
Remember when they used to do it with Wario, and they weren't just WarioWare games?
They were, yeah, actually back on the GameCube, Game Boy Advance days, they were on fire with Wario. I don't know what happened to that.
You got the Virtual Boy. Oh, I moved my Virtual Boy games. Yeah, Wario Land on the Virtual Boy.
That's like the best game on that system, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Saga Emerald Beyond. Interesting that a new Saga game was here. I was not expecting that.
It looked horrible, didn't it? Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, what? This looks gross. Like,
the visual style? You didn't like that? Oh, wow.
It was very choppy and stuff. Like, I don't know. It just didn't look appealing.
Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remaster, toggle between old and new visuals on the fly. It's February 14th. Aspire's doing it. However, I've been told that this is in good hands. Okay.
I've heard that too.
Okay. So I think we're looking at what I feel like some old school Tomb Raider fans have been hoping for is a remaster project that's not just, we're going to up-res this thing. Because visually speaking, it does look like they still stuck true to that original design, we'll say, of Laura, and bringing it up to current times.
The boobs.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, the proportions, sure.
No, I thought that was very cool. Because really, I mean, I could still go back and play those games, but the problem is the controls are just so clunky. So if they can nail the controls, like, that's a win.
I'm curious about the controls. I feel like people now, like newer gamers even, have seen them in practice, maybe in like a video retrospective or something. They've never actually sat down and tried to control the game. So if it's the same tank-like controls, I don't know how well that's going to go over for people.
I don't think it will be. I don't think you can do that.
Maybe they'll take some of the controls from like what was the game that they did on the 360 and the Tomb Raider Legend? Yeah, they got a bit more arcadey with it, and I think it was a better control scheme. Detective Pikachu Returns. There you go. October 6th. Trombone Champ. You use gyro or the IR port on the Joy-Con to change pitch. It's out right now.
Enjoy.
I was a little confused on that one, but there you go. Why not, I guess. Battle Crush, it's free to play, spring 2024.
We'll talk about that in a year when it's shut down.
War Tales is out now. Contra, Operation Galuga, Contra Reimagining, early 2024. Konami's back.
Way Forward.
Oh, that is Way Forward. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay. No, shout out to Way Forward. Konami doing what they should do. Hand over the IP. Get out of the way.
Well, I mean, Way Forward did Contra 4 on the DS, so and that was a good game. So yeah, that was very cool. Very surprising. I'm surprised that nobody knew about that. I think.
I mean, visually, I think it looks good. It just comes down to obviously how it controls the responsiveness of those controls and everything. But Contra's timeless, so touch it up, come up with this reimagining, new visuals and stuff. I think it should do well enough.
4-player online too.
Ooh, interest. Hold on a minute. 4-player online for a game that's kind of platforming. Bullets everywhere. Interesting. Okay. Unicorn Overlord. That's not a title I thought I would ever say.
That's a great looking game. Horrible name.
Really?
Who approved that?
It definitely sticks out.
And like the game does not look like a game that would be called Unicorn Overlord.
March 8th. So we are stacking March right now. I'm noticing this. Almost like they're stuck at March kind of at times. Although Luigi's Mansion 2 HD
Summer.
Very unique title. Very creative title. 4-player online, of course, thrown in there. Summer 2024. Nintendo Museum. It's not a game. It's an actual building. It's a museum. It's going to be completed by March 2024. Another release date right in March. There you go. Okay. I don't know if any of us are going. I assume not, but if you're near it, you can go check out Nintendo's history. Amiibos. We have Zelda and Ganondorf. That's November 3rd. Noah and Mio. That's January 19th. And then Sora 2024. That completes the Amiibo line, to my understanding. That's it.
Am I crazy, or wasn't that a thing where I said that there would be a Sora amiibo on the Spawncast? People were like, no, there's not going to be. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's an amiibo. They're like, no, because of Disney.
I feel like you did say that at one point.
I feel like I had that conversation with someone or the chat or something. Everyone was like, no, it's not going to happen. It's like, what?
I guess because Disney being very heavy-handed, although Disney has kind of lightened up a bit with some of their IPs, as we're seeing with Star Wars and some of the games and Indiana Jones and all this stuff. So maybe they were...
Oh, yeah, they're just whoring everything. Like, look at Star Wars is getting whored out right now. Like, it's insane.
Maybe they worked all that out. I mean, the fact that Sora's in Smash Brothers in general, I think at that point it's pretty easy to expect an amiibo. Just the licensing around that must have been crazy in the first place. Yeah. So F-Zero 99 is out now for NSO subscribers. I've downloaded. I have not played it. I was actually going to check it out a little bit tonight when I get a chance. But I have not. I mean, the concept is, it's funny because we were joking about F-Zero 99 and like being mayhem. It looks like mayhem, but you played a little bit of it.
Yeah. I'm honestly not a huge fan of F-Zero on the Super Nintendo. Like the visuals mess with my eyes like too much. So I did play this. There's a tutorial where you go against 25, 50, 75, and then 99 computer, and then they stick you into the game. It's fine. I know there's people that absolutely love it. I'm not one of those people. Like, it's very frenzied, chaotic, and like, it's interesting, but definitely not. GX would have been better.
GX, yeah. I think that would have been, I mean, visually, it definitely would have been better. And it's interesting, they keep doing this thing with the 99, the Battle Royale stuff. I don't mind the twist on these different games, but F-Zero 99 seemed pretty obvious for a lot of people as we started hearing more and more rumors about it. In practice, it just looks crazy. So people in the comments can let us know how their take is on it currently. Again, I'll check it out tonight and get some kind of grasp on it. Bandle Tale, that's 2024. Then Song of Nunu, that's November 1st. WarioWare
League of Legends games.
Yeah, okay, sure. WarioWare Move It, November 3rd.
God, they showed all that damn. Did you see the part where the guy's like shitting out an egg? It's like, they ruined the game for me by having all of this stand up. You got to stand up and stuff. Like, no. Why?
They're playing into the party game stuff. I mean, this is not quite the level of where they tried to do everybody 1-2 switch, but
you just released that everybody 1-2 switch. So how's it doing? How's it tracking?
Well,
how are the WarioWare games tracking? Like, are they great sellers? Because I never hear about it.
We're just biding time for the big Wario World game coming. That's what's coming. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, April 23rd. Eastward Octopia. This is the farming game quota here for the DLC. Holiday 2023.
This was the pixel portion of the show.
Wargroove 2 then came out. People liked Wargroove. Now the second one's coming up October 5th.
No, they literally called it like the pixel portion or something.
Oh. And they had Dave the Diver, which was, I mean, that's a very unique game. It looks like you dive into the ocean to get fish and then you run a sushi store and stuff.
It was very popular for a while. I remember people saying they loved it when it originally came out on Steam.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 6. This is it. It's finally over.
With 4 new characters.
Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, Peachette.
They're totally not gonna resell you that game with all the DLC and tracks on the cartridge. I don't know how anyone could look at that and say that. They're gonna let that go. 50 million sold of this, And now they have a bunch of DLC that they can attach to it. But no, they're going to let this go. They're just going to be like, sure, we're so pro-consumer, backwards compatibility.
Can we please let this game go? We've had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has had its time. My gosh, it's had its time. it's had multiple lifetimes of time at this point. Holiday 2023. Let's leave the game behind, okay? Go into 2024. Let's get that new Mario Kart rolling. That's hopefully not called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus, all right? I'm ready to leave this behind. But hey, you know what? There's been a lot of content in this booster course pass. I'll give them that. So characters, I wasn't even expecting that. Like in general, when they first started doing it, it seems like they dropped a bunch more in here. So Among Us, new island map, October 2023. We then had a recap of everything they showed again for some reason. It's just usually we get a sizzle reel, and it's games that aren't necessarily in the direct we just watched. But they decided to do that anyway. I mean, I guess Pikmin 1 and 2 was thrown in there, so that wasn't necessarily talked about. It was very strange. I don't really know what that sizzle reel thing was about. And then...
Yeah, I guess it was to get you hyped.
Yeah. And then all that did was make me realize how many remasters and remakes we just looked at. Mm-hmm. And then the closeout was Paper Mario The 1,000-Year Door 2024. This... seems like I'm trying to figure out if this is the remake or remaster treatment. It kind of feels like it's right in line with something like Metroid Prime Remastered, where it's blurring that line as people are trying to figure it out right now. But it does look visually like significantly better than the GameCube version. And it's easier to tell if you obviously pop that in and try it now. It is the full $60, which did come up. People are pointing this out. They're like, okay, well, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong game is $50. It's a Game Boy Advance game that's getting remade. And now we have
there's no consistency.
That's $60.
It's just what they feel like it's going to cost.
So I think at this point, this one right here in particular feels kind of like fan service. The Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door. It does kind of go against everything they've been doing with the Paper Mario franchise since that game, where they were working away from the more turn-based, more RPG-like content. And I don't mind this game coming out at all, because I do think it is the best game in the series. This is it right here. And there are probably people who haven't experienced it. I know you can emulate it, but if you don't want to do that and you're like, I want the copy, it's over $100 online. So for people out there who are just looking to buy it officially, this is probably the best way to experience it then.
Just emulate it.
Here's the thing I'm curious about with this game, though, and this is where things could get interesting when you're saying just emulate it.
Are they going to add stuff?
I almost wonder if we haven't seen everything about this game yet, because there are parts where they could insert content. Some pointed out that Luigi kind of has this side story that's alluded to almost. I almost wonder if they're going to add stuff to the game, whether it's things that they themselves cut out way back in the day they still have access to, or just stuff they create from the ground up for it.
Yeah, I think that'll add the incentive, but I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I like the game a lot. It is one of my favorite GameCube games, so I am on board for it. But I do also recognize when people bring up the idea of, okay, wow, this is a $60 game that's being remade from the GameCube era. Yeah, that's kind of where we are right now with Nintendo, because as we look back at this Direct, a lot of people realize this kind of feels like that in-between event where Nintendo's kind of stuck internally focusing on their next generation device. And as you mentioned, it's a bit easier to look around and go, okay, get the remasters, get the remakes, stuff we've already done before, and we'll touch them up, remake them, whatever, and we don't necessarily have to spend a ton of money and time that we would rather spend on launching our next system.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think a lot of people are like, okay, well, 2024, here we go. Looks like we're lining up for the next system to come out. And I think that's what most of us expect at this point. It'd be very weird if we get to the end of 2024, December 31st, and we don't have a new system from Nintendo in our hands.
Yeah, that would kind of make you question some things.
Yeah.
But then again, you did learn about more Nintendo Switch games than you learned about PlayStation games.
Okay, good. We can roll into into the Sony State of Play next. I am going to go to a sponsor for our podcast. This episode is sponsored by Factor. With Factor, you can skip the extra trip to the grocery store, make sure you're eating well with fresh, never frozen meals that deliver the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Choose from over 34 weekly meals and round out your order with an assortment of more than 45 add-ons, including apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon cheddar egg bites, and potato bacon egg breakfast skillets. Meals come together in just a couple of minutes, making it easy to get on with your day. I like having a Factor meal ready to go for lunch since it's ready in no time, and the best part, cleanup is a breeze. This September, skip the hassle and enjoy eating well with Factor. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code SpawnWave50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's SpawnWave50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring today's episode. Okay, so let's go through the Sony State of Play here. We'll start with the first one.
What the hell?
As I mentioned, you said we had a Direct and a State of Play same day, right? So the Direct was in the morning. It was 10 a.m. And then 6 hours later, we had the State of Play. State of Play was about 25 minutes. The Direct was closer to 40. All right. So expectations were at least put in line by Sony. Hey, there are going to be updates on games you've already seen. Hey, it's going to be a lot of third-party stuff, really.
Well, they did wait. Initially, they said it was third parties and indies. And then 10 minutes before the presentation, they were like, yeah, it's all stuff already previously announced. It's like, wait, what? Like literally 10 minutes. It was in a tweet.
Well, I don't know what they must have been. They must have missed it, Sean, because I've never seen Baby Steps before. I feel like I learned a lot in the amount of time they decided to show it.
It's definitely, that's a game for Twitch streamers, you know.
It's
physics based, you know. It's like all these other physics based games, like, you know, whatever.
Which presentation you mentioned get off to a strong start? One showed DLC to start, the other one showed Baby Steps. Which one do you think was the better start?
Splatoon.
Okay, well, there you go. Baby Steps is summer 2024. I guess this is one of those physics-based ones where you're moving this person's feet to climb up things, and is that how that's what I took away from it? I guess.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, great. Roblox, October 10th.
Another banger announcement.
Here's the interesting thing, Sean, about this. Are we just old? We missed the boat on this thing?
No, it's a very expansive. It's not about Roblox. It's what people make within Roblox.
They said some crazy metric. The lady on screen, she said like 60 million daily active users for this game.
Yeah, it's a very popular game with the kids and Tommy Tallarico, because they stole his oof noise. He said, even though it was later found out that he didn't even make the noise.
You see, they're doing some odd stuff, I feel like, in this game. They're talking about like basically everything you do outside of Roblox now, just about like putting it into it. So video calls, I think one was mentioning like dating profiles on there.
I'm sure that'll work out.
This
just
seems like
fine.
a bad idea, but hey, you know what? We'll see.
When a vast majority of your user base is children, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, they're gonna test it. We'll see. We'll keep our eyes out for the news stories and the headlines. Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord.
EDP licking his lip. Oh yeah.
Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord PSVR 2, October 26th.
Looks great.
Okay, you guys have to get this.
This is day. Oh, we getting it on VR or
PSVR
Meta?
2, right? We're gonna get it on there.
Yeah. Does Nate have a PSVR?
Yeah, he does. He actually does. It's weird, right?
Yeah, that's kind of.
He's the one who told me to get the kayak game.
Oh yeah. How much is this game? Like, I don't care.
Good question.
I'm gonna buy it. Like, it looks amazing. I don't know if there's a price out there.
We also don't have a lot of physical PSVR 2 games. I think one of you guys mentioned that Tetris Effect is getting something that's physical, so that was interesting. But I don't know, maybe this one will be physical as well.
It's $50 on Meta, but that's a pre-order discount.
Oh wow, okay, interesting.
So
interesting.
It might be 60, but it comes with like 6 months of upcoming DLC and bonus content. No, that game looks so good.
Yeah, this looks like this one makes a lot of sense in VR. You know, where we're going out, tracking down ghosts and all this, throwing your gadgets out and blasting them. That all makes sense. I get it.
Oh wait, it's up. Oh shit, it's only $35 on PSVR 2. What is that?
Interesting. Yeah, what is that one about? That's weird. Okay. Well, there you go. We'll get it. It's out October 26th, so less than a month out. Maybe we'll try to hook up some capture stuff and maybe try to make maybe I'll try to hook up some capture stuff for it and we can attempt to stream that. Or play it maybe for the Patreon, the Spawncast Network. We can take a shot at that. See how that goes. For sure. But we'll definitely talk about that either way when the time comes around on the podcast. That does seem like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 on PSVR 2. They didn't give us a release date still. I feel like we've seen this 3 times now. No release date any of these times. It just says winter.
Well, you saw a lot of these games you saw at this summer showcase, and nobody liked it then, but then all of a sudden everybody liked this show, which I found to be, at least on Twitter, I found to be very interesting. It looks like it got downvoted to oblivion on like GameSpot's re-upload of it. Didn't do very well in terms of likes and dislikes.
Do you think that the reason this showcase was viewed differently as the last one is because the last one was a showcase and people were expecting first party stuff there to take over?
I don't see. People were expecting first party stuff at the summer showcase. They didn't get it.
Right.
And then at this, you didn't get it.
Right.
So what are we doing here? Where are the first party games?
Right, we'll come back to that in a second. Let's get through the other titles here. Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways. And then they're also doing that Mercenary update. That's next week, September 21st. So yes. You fired up RE4 for that?
Yeah, on my Xbox.
Okay, there we go. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, December 7th. This seems like a game that makes me wish I had watched or cared about Avatar.
Same. I'm going to check it out, though, I think.
I mean, I could just watch the movie. The movies are pretty easy to access right now, so maybe I'll...
Aren't they on freaking Disney Plus?
It's on a streaming service somewhere, I'm sure, but...
I'm pretty sure it's on Disney
I'm going to spend a couple days just going through the movies, and then maybe I'll be ready for it then. Looks kind of like Far Cry-ish there, so I might be okay with that. Ghost Runner 2, October 26th. There's a demo out right now. I played a little bit of the first Ghost Runner if people recommended it, and this is interesting. I'm curious because this one looks like they put a bit more into it than the first one. Feels a little more simplistic. It is still kind of parkour, slicing and stuff up. So,
no.
New DualSense controller colors. Also new PS5 shells. This is the Deep Earth Collection, red, blue, and silver.
I'll just take a marker and color in. They're expensive, aren't they? Like $50 or some shit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Helldivers 2, February 8th. You guys are going to leave me out to dry on this one. It's going to be me versus the world and Helldivers 2 over here.
Bro, that game does not look fun. It didn't look fun. They did nothing to sell me on the game except have voice chat.
Oh gosh, the voice chat.
Terrible.
Dude, what was that?
Throwing a slur in there or something. Like, keep it real.
Sounded so like artificial when they were doing the like dialogue.
It almost sounded like AI.
Like AI wrote it. Like, that sounded weird.
No, there was like performance issues in the gameplay. Like the frame rate was struggling when they were on that big bile creature or whatever. That game just doesn't have an identity. I don't feel like it just looks like generic video game.
It reminds me of the Earth Defense Force a little bit, but Helldivers...
No, Earth Defense Force is leagues better because Earth Defense Force is tongue-in-cheek. This is trying to be serious.
Helldivers 1 was kind of zoomed out. It was like sort of the isometric view. They took this down to like the shoulder level, I assume, to make it seem like a more premium type of game. I think this is a good title to put into PlayStation Plus Premium when it releases.
Yes,
that's what I would do because it's going to rely on online, like the population to be there. And if the game comes out and the reviews are middling, that's going to be tough for that to keep, I think, a player base unless you do that. Put it on PlayStation Plus Premium that is now $160 a year. doesn't seem like a bad idea to me to do that, but that's just me. That's just me. And then you guys will actually play the game with me, or at least try it. You'll try it for a night. You'll try it once.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's you still have PlayStation Plus Premium.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Spider-Man 2. Okay, I was already sold on this game going into it. Then they showed more of it, and then the previews. Did you see the previews today?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, this game looks great.
Of course it does. I've been saying that the entire time.
Yeah, but it looks really good now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's people just overreact. Oh, looks the same. It's a sequel, you moron. Of course it's gonna look similar. There's 2 new boroughs that make it like twice the size. Like,
the fast travel looked pretty cool too. Did you see the demonstration on that?
I did.
Yeah, I'm all in on this one. Insomniac just keeps delivering, and that's the studio that it's basically holding up the PS5. It's Insomniac, and then it's Square Enix.
Yeah.
It's these 2 companies. Well, one obviously owned by Sony, the other one third party. But wow, Spider-Man 2 looks great. I'm all for it. I'm curious about the story. Some of the previews today showed off more than I was expecting. So people who are like looking into the previews to get a bit more information, there's some spoiler stuff in there. I was a little surprised.
I did very surface level. I was just very like technical stuff.
I mean, they have a parry button in there now, and they're going to have ray tracing enabled for all the modes. So there's like the visual 30 frames mode, the performance 60 frames mode. It almost sounds like Insomniac is really getting
Isn't there a 40 frames mode too?
Yeah, because it divides evenly into the refresh rate of your 120 hertz screen. So it looks pretty good there. But it just kind of feels like Insomniac is really getting in tune with the hardware for the PS5 with what they're doing with it now. So visually speaking, it looks great. I'm looking forward to it, picking up day one. And I know this is the same day. It's like that and Mario Bros. Wonder. I got to go to Spider-Man 2 first. I got to see it, so I'm ready. Tales of Arise, Beyond the Dawn DLC. I don't know why this is a thing. It's very weird to me to see this. That they developed full DLC for it and it's coming out November 9th. This is one of those situations where I've been away from the game so long that if I go back and because it is a larger JRPG from the Tales series, I'm going to forget a lot of stuff that I had played through it with. Like I beat the game, there's stuff to do afterwards, but I kind of moved on from it after like 50, 60 hours. So
right, as you should.
I don't know. This is one, and it's in November when a lot of stuff will have come out in October, and then more stuff's coming out. This is one that I think I'm gonna have to shelve. So unfortunate there. Honkai Star Rail, October 11th. It's a very popular game. That's it's like 23 million users a month on this game. And it's like just on PC and mobile devices. So it's a fairly new title still, but it's also free to play. That kind of helps the situation a bit for monthly users. So It seems like one of those addictive kind of JRPG games that they've put out as like a live service gacha style. Let's see. Foam Stars. It's their version of Splatoon from Square Enix. This is one of those situations where I would be very concerned about the future of this after how I've seen Square Enix handle some of these live service games.
I don't think she's long for this world.
Open beta September 29th, and it's launching in 2024. They have taken a long time with this game, though, like since they announced it and worked on it and closed and now open betas. So maybe it'll at least launch in a good state, like functionally, and people will get a kick out of it. Maybe that'll help. So
what kick? What kick out of it? Come on.
Some of the previews, believe it or not, coming out of like Summer Game Fest were very positive for it. I was a little surprised. Like people seem to like the game in terms of the mechanics.
Who wrote these previews?
I think I'll double check. I don't want to say the wrong outlet, but people seem happy. I'll say with maybe surprised even with what they played. So let's see. The big closeout was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got the release date February 29th. It is on 2 Blu-rays, so there won't be some weird thing where it's like, okay, now download 100 gigabytes worth of information to your system, even though you have a disc. So I do like that. They're also going to have a double pack, which I think has some interesting implications here in a minute, which we'll get to. But, I mean, the game looks great. this looks better than Remake. It seems like they're going to the next level, focusing on the PS5 and all this. Vincent was in there briefly. We see Sephiroth as like a playable character in one of the battles. There are different chocobo types, riding like one of the black chocobos up a mountain, for example. And I also noticed that they mentioned the weapons, that being like Emerald and Ruby weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very quickly, they discussed that. So I'm picturing going under the water and fighting Emerald weapon right now, like with a timer and all this stuff. That could be those could be some really cool battles at the end of the game. They did also reference a part of Final Fantasy VII. They said in one of the developer notes that they released after all this information came out, we know you guys are wanting to see a certain scene from Final Fantasy VII. And I had previously spoiled that, even though it was from the 90s on the podcast.
Still spoiled it.
And you know what's interesting is I don't think it's going to go the way people are envisioning it right now.
Well, they pretty much said it wasn't going to. Like,
I
don't think they should have done that.
I think this game ends with a major death. Like, this game specifically.
But it's not who you think it is.
Right. I think it's someone different. I think that's how they're going to end it. And it's going to be that Empire Strikes Back moment. And then the next one will be the big moment where the protagonists rise and win and all of this stuff, sure. But I think that's how, I think they're going to end it on like a sad note. And I think that's a great idea, because in Final Fantasy VII, there is the scene where someone's floating underwater and it cuts from there. I think that is a perfect way. I think that's a perfect way to close out the game. So I hope that's how they do it, but I think they're taking out somebody else is what I'll say. So a lot of stuff to analyze in that trailer. You played Remake. You liked it for the most part, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna enjoy this game too. Yeah. But I remember seeing this game at the last showcase.
I mean, they at least announced it, and now we're coming up on its release date. February's not that far away. Like, it's 5 months away or something. So yeah. The run up is happening. Tokyo Game Show is next week. So a lot of the stuff we saw here with Resident, I bet you Resident Evil 4 will be there again in some capacity. Tales of Arise will be there. Honkai Star Rail will be there. Foam Stars will be there. Rebirth will be there. Like, that's probably why it's a lot of these games being available for demos or what have you.
What is Sony doing though? Where are the first party games?
Okay, so now that we've gone through this, let's talk about that for a minute, because you're right. Spider-Man 2, and Helldivers 2 is done by Arrowhead. That's not a Sony studio, but they of course publish
Sony's
it and all that.
Thing,
yeah, so it's halfway in there, but like, Spider-Man 2 is their game, sure, with Insomniac. That's kind of it here.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that was the big thing coming off of that showcase, which, to be fair, the showcase was set up with the mind of, we're going to see what the first-party studios are up to, and it just didn't materialize. You saw Fair Games, you saw Firewalk's game, and then you saw Marathon. And
you use the word saw very loosely.
Yeah, Concord, that was the other one. And that's all. We just saw trailers with cinematic footage and nothing else. So that's kind of where I'm unsure about what's going on with Sony right now, because all we've heard is that like their Last of Us game, the multiplayer one that they were doing, that Neil Druckmann showed off the screenshot for with Jeff Keighley, that got shelved, or there's something going on internally where Bungie gave it the thumbs down for now, and that's all we're hearing are struggles within Sony right now. So the way that you restore confidence is by showing games, and we're not seeing them.
It's if you put the games list side by side between Nintendo and Sony and said which company is winding down their system, like, I think most people would say, well, it's got to be, an outsider.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's very interesting. I what does this mean for 2024? Because we're literally going to go into 2024 knowing about, I guess, potentially nothing.
Rebirth is what they're leaning on obviously right now, and that's Square. So you feel like they have to do something around that time, maybe a little before then, to say, okay, here's what we're doing now. But we said that when they did the showcase before. Oh, they're going to set up 2024, the rest of this year. They'll show us something 3 years from now, that's coming out.
Right.
None of that's happened. So it is head scratching a bit right now, I think, with Sony. I don't know. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at Sony right now. It's strange because they also have a massive target that they're trying to hit right now with PS5 systems at 25 million this fiscal year they're trying to reach. And Spider-Man 2 is going to do well. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth also worked to push systems, but that sounds like a number you put out there if you are about to go crazy. You're going to show God of War is going crazy. We got Naughty Dog showing up with some big time stuff. Sucker Punch is going to roll out the next Ghost of Tsushima. Just all these things are hitting, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm not really sure. It's a mystery right now. Just anything happening at Sony for the next 3 years. But I think that's the biggest thing going in 2024 that they have to focus on is giving people an idea or roadmap of where they stand with their PS5 for the second half of the generation that we're already just about to. We're going to complete 3 years this holiday of the system being out. And if this is an 8-year cycle, we assume for the systems, we're about to be halfway through at the end of 2024. So it's tough. We'll see, but hopefully Sony has something lined up for it. We want to talk about this Unity situation, Sean. I don't know if you've seen this.
Of course I have.
It was going wild online. I can understand why when you look at it, and I wanted to have MVG here to ask his opinion on it. He had some stuff he had to take care of, though, unfortunately.
Well, I stand with Unity. Fuck all the game developers.
Oh, no. He expressed his thoughts on it as well. But the thing that's weird is, so Unity is trying to do a pay-per-install setup that they want to put into effect January 1st, 2024, with the idea being if you download a game and install it, you then are essentially putting a tally or a chip in the bin for Unity to count against a certain quota that then turns into 20 cents per install that they take as like a cut from the developer, publisher, what have you. And this has not gone over well because it seems that really companies were concerned, especially with the subscription models that they're trying to adapt to right now with Game Pass. Well, if you put that game in front of 25, 30 million people, we'll say with Game Pass, and 10% of them download or something just to try it. Let's see what this is. 2.5 to 3 million people download your game. All of a sudden, you're owing a good chunk of money that could erase that Game Pass check very quickly. So we actually have some publishers and developers saying we're gonna stop development of our game now, and we're gonna shift over to some other engine. Some have said, like Cult of the Lamb, we're gonna delist our game. We're taking it back. We don't want this to be something we have to deal with going forward. So Unity has responded by updating terms and stuff and just trying to be, I guess,
damage control.
Yeah, looks like it, because they said that what they're going to do is send the bill to the platform holder for the subscription thing.
That'll go over well.
Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo will front the bill because remember, Nintendo does their trial, which would count as a download and install. And if they pick up a Unity game, let's say they want to do Cult of the Lamb, does that mean that Unity is going to show up to Nintendo with a bill? I don't think that's going to go well for them there.
No.
So this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen from an engine that is widely used to just try to change it this quickly and hope that games that have been in development for 3 years just go, okay, cool, that works.
Yeah, like the whole thing is ridiculous and just very, like, I want to know the logic behind it. Well, isn't it like the owner, wasn't it like they have a new owner or something and he's like a big piece of shit?
The CEO is from EA. And I think it was mentioned that there were a bunch of ideas, we'll say, that they had, which one I have to imagine was a joke, where you pay to reload in Battlefield.
I think every company would love that.
they have ideas on microtransactions with this was a long time ago too. It says 6 years ago. And I believe, yes, okay, so they were with EA. That's John Riccitiello. Trying to pronounce that correctly. This is a quote from them, again, 6 years ago, saying, when you were 6 hours into playing Battlefield, you run out of ammo in your clip, and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not very price sensitive at that point in time.
Maybe he was drunk. I'm going to give him a pass. I'm going to say he was drunk. He was high, because that's just ridiculous.
The second thing, and this is no, this is at a stockholders meeting. Wow. That's yeah. So I hear that and I go, okay, this person was brought on to Unity as the CEO to generate revenue as fast as possible. In their mind, you add the microtransaction to the game engine for the developer. But if you're the developer, won't you just not use the game engine then?
Yeah. I mean, it's a mess, and I don't understand the logic behind of why they thought, oh yeah, this will work fine. This will go over fine. Like, read the room.
What's weird is the responses have come in now from developers and all this who are like, we're just not going to use the engine. We're going to figure this out. And they instead double down on the idea. So it feels like self-sabotage right now from what I'm seeing. I can't come up with any other thing. It's like, once you see that response, you go, oh, okay, never mind. We're going to roll this back. We'll work with you on it. We'll figure it out. No, right. Not at all the case. So I don't get it. To me, it just seems like Unity's a sinking ship now, because even if they reverted it this time with how stubborn they've been around it, why would you develop with the engine that could flip things on its head when it comes to the most important part, which is your revenue? It seems weird. So if I was going to do it and I'm leading a team of 100 or something, we're not going to use Unity, because I don't know what it's going to look like 2 years from now when we get to the point where we can just show our game. So that's Unreal. All they had to do was post randomly on Twitter, and they got a bunch of people looking at them again. So
yeah,
there you go.
The whole thing it's a shit show is what it is. But, it'll be interesting to see how, I'll be interested to see what the conversation is like 2 weeks from now. Like, what sort of resolutions we've come to and what things have been done.
What's interesting is I could actually see like Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony ask up front, what's your engine, when they start talking about Game Pass deals and stuff like that. Because if they say Unity, They go, well, okay, never mind. We're good. Keep moving along. So then, yeah, there's no point in using Unity either way. So what a weird situation. Let's finish up here, Sean. I want to talk about Mortal Kombat for a little bit with you. Mortal Kombat 1 it's kind of out. You mentioned this. It's in like this early access. It's the thing that I know they're doing it because it works, but it's a very common thing now where we basically, the release date has happened. They can pretend like it hasn't. Oh no, this is early. That was the release date. You push the release date back about 5 or 6 days, and you can charge people more money to get in. I thought it was interesting to pick it up so we could discuss it on the podcast, but it's that's got to be definitely an annoying thing for people who are just trying to get the game and they want to play it because they're fans of Mortal Kombat, or we had Starfield do it. I'm sure you're going to see other games consistently do it going forward, because the data, I think, coming in shows that it works to sell a $100 game. But either way, Mortal Kombat 1 is out, then technically, and I picked it up on the PlayStation 5. You picked it up on the Switch.
Yep.
I think with Game and
Is this going up in the normal time slot?
The normal time slot. Oh yeah. It'll go up.
So I'll have a video out about it.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. So you'll have a whole video showcasing that. I'm sure you'll be discussing some of it on Game and Talk as well. Mm-hmm. But what did you do so far in Mortal Kombat 1 at this time?
I've tried everything.
Oh wow.
Okay. I did a couple tower run throughs. I am about halfway through the story mode. I did the invasion mode. I played a match online. Yeah.
Okay. I got in. I immediately went to the story. That was it. Mm-hmm. look around the menu really. I jumped in and said, let me just go through the story. Apparently it's like a 6 or 7 hour thing. Mm-hmm. It's relatively quick. And the good thing about it is what we've seen with the Mortal Kombat stories really since I think Mortal Kombat 9. I think that's when they did the full reboot and went in this strategy for the story. You go chapter by chapter. They give you a character that you fight like 4 or 5 battles, and then you go on to the next thing, right? Next chapter, another character, right, and so on. And so the reason I like it is because it does just throw you in with different characters consistently. So you end up going through a good chunk of the roster just going through the story. And the story itself, the cutscenes are done exceptionally well.
Yeah, it blends very well, mostly smoothly on the platform I'm playing.
Oh,
on.
Right, yeah. So on the Switch, you said that there were some oddities happening visually.
And audio wise.
Audio too.
Yes. When I beat you haven't beaten a tower yet, but there's a scene that plays, and like there was like missing audio sound effects, and like it was very noticeable. Like it was very, very strange. The gameplay is relatively smooth. It does dip a little when a cameo appears.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure they targeted 60 for most of it, but with the cameo sometimes it can slow it down a little bit. But yeah, the presentation, there's definitely some issues that need to be ironed out on the Switch version of it in the cutscenes.
In the cutscenes themselves. See, again, on the PS5, visually speaking, cutscene-wise, it looks great. The audio, I haven't really run into any of that issue, but I did have one problem, kind of audio-related, is Megan Fox. Her voice acting, when you get to that point, sticks out so much. Wow. It's just it's not good.
I mean, she drinks blood, so like, what do you expect?
Well, it really sticks out when she's voicing. What's her name? It's the character who does actually like wings and like flies around and attacks you.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. I have enough trouble remembering old Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah, so she plays the vampire. Yeah, she plays the vampire in Mortal Kombat. But it's just everyone else is pretty good in terms of the voice acting. And then she pops up voicing Natara, and maybe a few other takes would have been a good. I don't know if those are the best ones, but yeah, it's fortunately it's not a lot. I will say that you fight her a few times and you're past that scene. But the thing I like about the story is, yes, they did reboot the entire timeline with Liu Kang, as they kind of showed and talked about at the end of Mortal Kombat 11. You didn't like it as much.
I mean, I don't dislike it. Mm-hmm. But it's just like it's almost like a game of chess, and they move some pieces around, and it's like, well, now you're the leader of Earthrealm, and you're the leader of the Outworld. Yeah, it's kind of the same sort of thing, just with different players playing different roles, you know?
I've been told that there is like kind of a very controversial twist midway through the game. Yes. I think I'm there right now, maybe. Again, I'm gonna play through some more of it tonight, because I just wanted to see the story in its entirety before I go on and do some other stuff, because I do enjoy the Mortal Kombat stories. I like the Mortal Kombat 9 one a lot, actually. That was I think really cool. Now we're into time travel and stuff, so it gets a little stranger. But the thing I do enjoy is it kind of has that Final Destination vibe to it, to where the idea is Liu Kang basically rewrote the timeline, but he's starting to figure out that events still happen. It's like that situation of, I'm trying to bend time in the universe to my will, but I can't control everything. And it's you start to see that with the different characters and them getting to their, again, final destination as they're going through. So it is kind of interesting to see how that turns out, origin stories for some of the characters in real time. And it's been fun to enjoy, but it is a lot of watching. So you are going to end up doing some fighting and then like 15-20 minutes of watching a movie, kind of. So
yes,
technically you could just watch the entirety of it on YouTube and get basically the same.
Well, IGN already put it up.
Oh, really? There you go. Hey, there you go. That's the whole experience there. I do like the story, like I mentioned, for the fighting aspect of trying different characters on the fly, and you do unlock stuff. So as you go through, it'll be like, oh, you beat this person, you unlock this cosmetic. It shows you on the bottom left as you go through. But you get coins and stuff in the game, Sean. They've eliminated the crypt, you said.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You go to a thing and you stick the coins in, and something pops out.
Did people not like the crypt? I don't know. I remember the crypt from back in the day, Deadly Alliance and even like all that. Like those were cool, but I guess in the most recent one you were running around and it maybe a little I
think it's because they're just trying to differentiate it from previous games.
I guess I didn't mind the crypt though. I was fine with it, really. So I guess maybe it just made it easier to develop the game anyway. You don't have to create a whole area and lock doors and all. You say you just walk up, you put coins in, it spits stuff out to you.
Yep.
I guess that simplifies it for people who just want to do the fighting parts, but I don't know. Man, maybe they're saving all the what's that?
The invasion mode.
I haven't tried that yet.
I haven't tried that yet. It's like it's interesting. Like it's a top-down perspective, and there's different paths, but some of the paths are locked, and I don't know how you unlock them quite yet.
Okay.
But you go through, and you're basically doing like fights with different parameters and stuff, and there's like, there's things like. You might fight an opponent that has like a heavy armor or something, so they're harder, or there's like a flying ghoul that goes across the screen and only attacks you. So I could see this. I've only played it for about a half hour or so, but I could see this becoming very creative in terms of what they kind of do with this. And it's like a single, it's a single player mode that of course has to be connected to online, because everything has to be connected to online with this game because it's tracking your coins, which I think is kind of ridiculous. And then, of course, I mean, you haven't even really experienced the cameos.
No, I have the ones that they give you cameos when you're in, but it goes along with the story. So, like, if you run up to a fight and Kenshi or someone's behind you, they're just immediately your cameo fighter. But I've mostly used them in the sense of, I can press R1 for the PS5 and they'll take a swing at the person. Something like that. I haven't gotten into you said you got a bit more involved with it.
Yeah, you could do things like grab an opponent and then call in your cameo, and they'll do like a more devastating attack and stuff like that. Okay. And then of course you have like what's the thing called when your health is low?
Like the X-ray attack, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, there's actually quite a few things you could do with them, and you have to level up your in-game profile in order to unlock additional ones. I do wish, like, there's plenty there, but I do wish there was kind of more, because there's so many Mortal Kombat characters that they could have chosen and stuff like that. And I don't know. I do wish that the cameos were the classic stuff, and there was like 30 cameos or something. And I'm sure that would have been a very large undertaking. So I understand that. But like, basically take the roster of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and then make all those the cameos. Like, I think that would have been super, super cool. But I do enjoy the cameos. I think they're super fun. And the gameplay is definitely different than Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get it down with the time. I think the timing for some reason is off for me with some of the combos.
Oh no, it is for me too. Okay. Like, and I'm still, honestly, I have probably played it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours now, and like I still don't have a character. I did start using Reptile, and I do like Reptile.
Reptile's cool, right?
I like Reptile a lot. Yeah, he seems very user friendly. But like, I'm trying to do like fucking moves from like previous Mortal Kombat games, and like some of them just don't exist for the character anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is that's kind of weird.
Yeah, the timing's a little different for me. I'm getting it down for some, but I'm a very casual Mortal Kombat or fighting game person, so I kind of go in, have fun. You see the fatalities, okay, that was cool, and then you unlock stuff and move along. Like, I'm not going out to Evo or anything like that. I'm just kind of playing around with having some fun and then moving on from there. So, but in that sense, if you're just more of a casual, gamer when it comes to Mortal Kombat. I still think there's a lot there to have fun with, and I think the story, from what I've seen, is quality. Again, you're going to watch a lot of it, so you could experience it there, but I'll be curious to jump into that invasion mode over the weekend when I get a little bit of time after I finish the story to see what that's about, because it does sound unique, for gameplay. So, but I'm still hoping, based on what I'm seeing with this story mode, that we do get the Shaolin Monks remake or follow-up. I think the tech is there. I think they have it down when it comes to the storytelling perspective. I want to see that brought to life. So I think that'd be cool. But that is our show for tonight, the Spawncast. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Sean, for stopping by.
No
coming
problem.
Through. So I didn't have to sit here and try to go through this myself. And we will be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with the usual suspects, and we'll see you guys then.